the big cheese in town this week is Thor: Love and Thunder. Let us kick off with that. Now, Holly, you are the only one who has not seen this, so feel free to ask questions as we go along with this. I'm going to try and give us a little brief synopsis of what Thor: Love and Thunder is all about. Now, if you have not been following the MCU for its last 20-something films, then quite frankly, I don't know how to explain this film to you. But the last time we saw Thor, which would have been at the end of Avengers Endgame, Thor had decided to go off with the Guardians of the Galaxy and go around the world and not be king of Asgard. And this film picks up with him and picks up with what Thor did. Thor has gotten back into shape. He's with the Guardians of the Galaxy, but he's trying to do some sort of introspection and feel what he's like, figure out who he is. And the film kicks off with Thor in sort of like adventurer mode with the Guardians of the Galaxy. They have some adventures and all that kind of stuff. Then something happens, which means that Thor has to leave the Guardians of the Galaxy. I don't think it's that much of a spoiler to say that that Thor leaves. And essentially, there is this character called Gore the God Butcher, and he has decided that gods are essentially gods are liars, gods are a waste of time, and he has pledged that all gods should die. So because of that, Thor gets a distress signal and decides, I need to go help out my fellow gods and figure out what's going on. That's the main thrust of this film. And then other things happen. We have Natalie Portman shows up again. And this time Natalie Portman shows up as Thor, or as another Thor. So she actually has Thor's powers. She's working with Mjolnir, like Thor's hammer, which the last time we saw was in a whole bunch of pieces. And there's all that stuff going on, and it goes into, and I think plot-wise, I think that's about it. Is there anything else that we want to add plot-wise, Shaun or Sharon? Because
I don't think so. I mean, if people have watched the previous Thor, they'd probably...
Yeah. It's a superhero movie, so that's the basic thing. That's the excuse for the action. Someone's killing all the gods, Thor's trying to figure out who it is, and is trying to save all the gods. End of story.
I must say one thing. I think that's a great name for a destroyer of gods, isn't it? The God Butcher.
The God Butcher, yeah.
You know.
I think, it's not much to say. It's not. I don't think it's too much of a spoiler to say that Gore is probably one of my favorite characters in this film. So, but let's kick off. So, Sharon, what did you think of Thor: Love and Thunder?
I thought it was a little bit patchy. I thought there was elements that were really good, and some of the humour for me didn't quite deliver. Mm-hmm. I found it was a little bit broad in places. I like that sort of irreverent humour that Taika Waititi brings to it, but some of these I thought were a little bit broad for me. But I liked it on the whole. That you see Thor. I mean, he's the god of thunder, but I think as it becomes obvious in this, he isn't like the brightest god in the pantheon. And so sometimes his like sort of innocence and his completely obliviousness to the world around him, there's a humour in that. So some of the broader humour is sometimes I felt landed a bit flat. But no, there are elements I did like. I did like this sort of the whole pantheon of the gods thing, where you have all the different cultures where they're all in this arena.
Yeah, when they had like Omnipotent City.
Yes, Omnipotent City, where all the gods go for their like annual orgy, and then and it's that you see how they're there's a whole sort of pantheon of them.
Yes.
And they're just sort of the different elements. I thought it was so there's lots of things I liked, but for me sometimes it wasn't always cohesive. But I think on the whole I quite like the idea of that Thor was in one place at the beginning. He went through this experience, and then he sort of didn't like reset the clock at the end. He has moved on to like the next phase of his life. So that's the one thing I like about the Marvel films, is that it isn't like a reset the clock after every film, because with some franchises they've been through this hideous ordeal and everything's happened to them, and then at the end of the film they're actually very much the same as they were at the beginning. There is no sort of arc or progression or consequences. So I thought
it's a show up in 2 years. Oh, we'll do the whole thing all over again.
Yeah. And so I like that. So I thought on the whole it was a bit patchy, but on the whole it was an enjoyable film.
Okay, Shaun, what did you think?
Yeah, I mean, I probably echo some of Sharon's stuff there. I mean, I did to me, Chris Hemsworth plays it so convincingly, like the scene with the Guardians, when he sort of he's got that look, like to me it's almost like he portrays it, and like with the with the bits with the hammer and the thunder thing, whatever, and the axe and the hammer, and he convinces me that he has, which I think is quite hard to do.
Yes.
He does feel like that. So yeah, I like that bit. I thought, like we said, what was it called again? The place where all the gods meet.
Omnipotent City.
Yeah, Omnipotent City. And I think like the Greek gods were played. I did like the idea that he played like or was trying to, maybe not particularly successful, but like some sort of Greek person. Do you know?
Oh, okay. Oh, you know what I mean? I know what you mean. Like, because Russell Crowe. Russell Crowe shows up as Zeus.
Yeah. The Greek people that I've met are very similar to that, so I thought that was quite.
Russell Crowe shows up as Zeus. Okay, now the funny thing is that when Russell Crowe shows up, right, his accent to begin with, I was thinking this accent might be a hate crime. This accent might be.
Yes.
It might be a. I think the longer the scene goes on, the less caricaturist it feels, and the more it feels like it's actually playing a character, and you're like, okay. But at the beginning, like the first couple of lines, you're like, oh no. Oh my God, no! Oh my God.
Where's the wine and where's Bacchus and all those? So yeah, it was. But I agree with. I mean, there were some laugh out loud moments. I must be honest. There was a few laugh out loud moments, and it didn't take itself too seriously. But yeah, I do agree with Sharon in the respect that there were a few patchy moments is exactly right. So, but on the whole, I enjoyed it. I thought it was quite funny, as I say. That the laugh out moments kept me going a while. I'm not so sure about some of the gods at the beginning and the almost like Fantasia, flowers and things and all that.
Oh yeah.
One of the close opening scenes, and I thought the ending was like, again, we come to this thing where people go through this whole tribulation of they got something really, really solid in their mind, and then it's a bit like Doctor Strange, it was like the ending was a bit like the ending of Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness.
Now you see, that's going to play a part in what I think. So after I saw this film, I went on Facebook and I just sort of put like the plotting of Marvel movies is getting messier. Or I think lazier. No, I use the word lazier. The plotting of Marvel movies is getting lazier. And I think that, I personally think that at the moment, Marvel might be making too many things. Because I feel like there's so many things that they're doing and they're spread so thinly that I don't think that the same amount of care is being spent on each one of these things. So there's these little, like you talk about it being patchy, there's these little bits where you're like, hang on a second, what the... and there's so many bits in this film where I felt like, okay, this makes no sense, but it gives us an excuse to go to the next scene. And something that they do in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness that they also do in this film, and I think it's an increasing thing that only really saw in DC movies before, was beginning to creep into Marvel movies, which saddens me as a Marvel fan, is that there's this whole thing of, we must get this thing. It's really important that we get this thing. We will spend 30 minutes of a 2-hour film striving to get this thing. Okay, we've got this thing now. Yes, we've got it. Oh, it turns out we don't need this thing. And and they do that in this film. They do it in Doctor Strange, and I'm like, that is just a messy plot thing, and it's just an excuse for scenes to happen, but it doesn't really have a theme behind it. As I said, the way this film, the first scene of this film is actually quite dark, and I'm not sure whether it's just because I'm not sure whether it's just because I'm now a dad, but it has to do with a dad trying to sort of protect his daughter. It's dark. It's a dark place to start the film in, and it's part of the reason why it makes for me Gore the God Butcher, Christian Bale's character, makes him probably one of my favorite characters in the film, because I just thought this guy's motivations make sense. His motivations make sense. What he wants to do makes sense and all that. And I feel like you could have had a little bit more with him in it. And he could have become like top tier Marvel bad guy, like sort of Baron Zemo in Captain America, Winter Soldier, Civil War, where you could see, I can understand why this guy is doing this thing. And you could see that guy stands out as one of it. But it tells you something about this film that I kind of forgot it was in the cinemas. Like previous Marvel movies, I've been like, I've got to go watch this thing. Before people give me any spoilers, I've got to go see this thing. And I actually forgot that this was in cinemas. I forgot about avoiding spoilers. And then all of a sudden I was like on YouTube and they were like, spoiler review for Thor: Love and Thunder. I was like, oh yeah, I should go see that. which makes me think that Marvel is losing its touch a little bit. And I feel like a little bit of that has to do with them spreading themselves too thin. But having said, sorry, Sharon.
No, I see. I would agree with that because I haven't been able to keep up with all of the series
Yeah.
on Disney Plus because they seem to be like boom, 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 boom. There's one after another, and I barely get through one before there's another one, and now I'm about 4 behind. So and then once you're that far behind, you're thinking, do I really have to go back and watch, all of Loki, all of What If, all of
Moon Knight,
the Hawkeye one, and Moon Knight, and I there's probably more that I've missed out on because. Is there just too many?
Yeah, well,
it's not like one film. There's like 8 episodes or something, and I'm thinking I can't devote that much time to just watching nothing but Marvel.
Yeah, well, I think that's what they're all trying to do now. All the different streaming platforms are trying to make it so that you watch nothing but them, by sucking you into stuff. But so I mean, I agree with a lot of what you guys said about it being patchy, and it's Taika Waititi. And the thing is with him, there's sometimes when when you're watching a film and you can feel that people are improvising, and there's a lot of scenes where you're just improvising, and I think there is obviously that in his thing, but in his style. But after a while, it wears a bit thin, and there's scenes where you're thinking, as you said, it isn't quite landing, and you're sort of playing around, and you're doing this because you think it's funny, not because it makes sense for an overall story. Having said that, I think for one of the problems I've always had with Thor, right from the first Thor movie, is that the relationship with Jane Foster, that didn't make any sense.
No.
It made it was very hard to sort of get this idea of heft, of emotion, or anything like that with Thor, especially when we went to Ragnarok, and Ragnarok was just kind of like laugh, 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 laugh. And like as you said, Sharon, like, what's off a duck's back? Oh, my father's died, no biggie. My brother's died, no biggie. My mother's died, no biggie. And in this one, they bring it back to quite an emotional place where finally the Thor and Jane Foster relationship lands, and the Thor and Jane Foster relationship makes sense. And I think I actually really like the way they went about the relationship in this. And there's a storyline from the comic that they brought in as to how Jane Foster becomes Thor that I did not think they were going to do in the film. But in the first scene that you see Natalie Portman in, I'm like, oh my God, they're going there. So it's a bit more grown up. It's definitely more grown up than Ragnarok. And as a lot of people rave about Ragnarok, I don't rave as much about Ragnarok as most people do. And I actually think that this is more grown up than Ragnarok. There's elements of this I definitely prefer to Ragnarok, but I do think it's patchy. I do think that the MCU plotting is getting lazy. And I hope that they rescue it, because if not, it's going to be a sad, sad thing and a sad day at my house. But all in all, I think I would give this a 3 out of 5.
Yeah, I think in some ways I'm not completely sold on the chemistry between Thor and Jane. To me, the relationship does lack that. It's not Captain America and
Agent Carter, Peggy Carter.
Yeah, it's that chemistry sort of like just fizzed, isn't it? Whereas this, I just don't feel that chemistry there. So I would
Peter
give
Parker
it,
and MJ.
Yeah. So I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. I maybe laughing in many places, but not quite gelling for me. So I would give it a 3 out of 5.
For me, I'm gonna give it a 3 as well. As I say, I thought the ending was particularly. I mean, I know it wasn't supposed to be a serious film all there, but the ending again was a big let off. It was a let off, and I agree with you. I'm getting fed up with that. It's almost like, oh well, how can we end this? Oh well, let's have some stupid. People do loads and loads of tribulations, and then like it's an easy thing to. Oh well, okay. I suddenly change track and be someone totally different. After going through all that.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, in the final shot of the film, they explain the title of the film, and that made no sense to me.
No, but I knew. You know what? I knew the after credit scene, what was going to be. I knew it. I thought that straight away. I thought, I know what it's going to be. The after credit scene is going to be. I knew it, and I nailed it. I did get that.
The first one, the second one, the one right at the end. The what?
No, the first one.
The first one. All right. Okay. Cool. Good stuff. Although it has made an interesting addition. Somebody who you would not expect to be in the Marvel Cinematic Universe is now going to be in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's an interesting casting.
Yeah, we won't say no.
Okay, so actor, not character. Character to be expected, actor not.
Yes. I think Marvel have gone a bit left field and picked somebody that you would not expect to be in the Marvel Cinematic Universe to be in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and that is in one of the end credits things, and I will leave it at that.
So I look forward to that.
Yeah, 3 stars for Thor: Love and Thunder. It's fun, but could have been better. But Shaun and Sharon, we can have a discussion at some point and talk about whether you feel that the final shot with the love, where Love and Thunder is explained, and we could. I thought the way they did it, I'm like, no. In that case, the next film should have been called Love and Thunder, not this film. But
I'll try
anyway.
and see it. I'll try to watch it next